till they spit up. I done raised the bar since they said, boy, chin up. Dog to the core, don't sit up. Heist nigga, it's a vice nigga. And I put that on my life, I'ma die before I give up. Yo.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Clock Talk podcast. I'm your host, Ty Jenkins from Chicago.
Yup, and I'm your host, Gabby Carica from Riverside, California.
And today we have a special guest. She's a reality star on HBO Max's Sweet Life Los Angeles. She's a property owner. She has her own lash line called The Collection. Give it up for Amanda Scott.
Amanda!
Hi! Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to have you. Would you mind introducing your friend as well?
Sure, yes. This is my boyfriend, Rob. He's also on Sweet Life LA. Make sure I check it out. It's on HBO Max. And we are happy to be here with you guys. He's awesome. Also a Chicago native, so.
Yep.
Okay, Shy in the building. Dope. Cool. Thank y'all so much for being here. All right, so let's just get right into it. Our first segment is called Different Week, Same Shit. That's just us checking in with each other, break the ice a little bit, see how we're feeling. Whenever we film, it's on Thursday, so we kind of had a whole week, a busy week. How you feeling, Ty? What's good?
I'm feeling good, yeah. You know what I'm saying? We just got out of a meeting with Red Bull, but we doing our thing. We trying to make sure we get this presentation going, but I'm just happy to be here doing this podcast again and being with a special guest as well. So
hell yeah, I feel it. I'm feeling good. I low-key even feel like I'm fighting for my life this week a little bit. We just have a lot of deadlines and just like a lot of different projects that we're working on at once. But that's the master of multitasking. You know, right. You can handle it.
You got it.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. So how are y'all feeling? How's your week?
I'm feeling good. It's been a good week. It's been a little bit stressful too. I feel like the New Year's jitters are gone, and now it's like this is just regular life. So there's been a little bit of that, but I'm feeling excited and like optimistic about March, and then like Q2 coming up. So it's been a good week. How about you, babe?
I would say same. Being productive, tapping into things, different projects like that. It's been cold, but it's been a good week.
It has been
cold. In LA.
Cold.
Yeah, that's real. That's how I think it's like a winter storm.
Yeah, it rained earlier, and now it's sunny.
Yeah, LA's crazy. Okay, cool. So we might as well dive into my first question. So, you obviously being from LA, you being from Chicago, I would say like most people my age, we look at LA as like the breeding ground for people to chase their dreams. So I guess my question is like, what does LA mean to you actually being a resident? Does it feel like living in the city, like this is the place where your dreams are made, or is it more like a personal connection there?
So I am born and raised in LA. So grew up here, and my parents are also born and raised in LA. So two generations. LA has always been home to me, right? So I look at it just like anyone would see their hometown. Like my family's here, my friends are here. Just recently, I started to see LA through like a different lens of as far as like chasing your dreams and like coming out here to make it. Essentially, I would say in the last maybe like 2 years before that, I saw it as literally just my hometown. But with that new perspective, I do think LA has like a ton to offer, and I see why people move here. Right? Like it's a really big melting pot. Anything that you want to do, like you can find your community. That your type of person is here in LA, which isn't always in other cities. So I get it. I love LA as a hometown, and I'm starting to love it as a place to like chase my dreams, if that makes sense.
I love that. What about you, Rob?
LA it's good for you. You can get into a lot of things, or you cannot get into a lot of things. You can get into a lot of good or get into a lot of bad. I think, like she said, it's definitely about finding community, because like I'm from Chicago, this is across the country for me. So if you don't really have that community, then you're just trying to make it out here on your own. You can do that, but I definitely think finding community is key. And then to the point of like chasing your dreams, you definitely see the people who are out here really chasing their dreams, the good, the highs, the low, like the in between. So that kind of grind that's great to see out here.
For sure.
Yeah. What about you? You're from LA. How do you feel?
Okay, so hold on. I'm from Riverside.
Okay.
So not LA proper.
Okay,
for those of y'all.
IE mommy.
Yes, IE mommy, period. So I don't rep LA because I'm not from LA. So for me, it's a little bit different. I've always had access to LA. Like it's always been something like, okay, let's go to the zoo, or let's go to the La Brea Tar Pits, or like whatever, but it's always been like I'm a visitor.
It's a trip.
Yeah, it's a trip. So now it feels more like, you know, I'm a resident. And so even though I'm from California, it does feel like I'm exploring a new city in a lot of ways. Yeah. And for me, it's the first time exploring LA as an adult too, which is completely different.
Very
like
true.
I'm over 21 now. Like I can just engage in all the things that are happening in the city in a different way. So it's lit. I love it. I love it. There's a lot of opportunity here for sure. As a creative, it's definitely, I would say honestly, like between LA and New York, those are kind of like the main hubs for people who are just doing the damn thing and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, agree.
For sure. You kind of touched a little bit on like being able to see LA through a new lens now. So how do you balance being in Hollywood and kind of like going back to your family and your day ones? And Rob, you can chime in too.
I'm gonna let you go first. I'm gonna let him go first.
So like I get when people say like LA is, what's the word, like
Superficial?
Yeah, a little superficial. Like when people say that, I get it, but like because I wanted to be in arts and everything, entertainment, like this is what I wanted to do, so it's not that bad for me. So like sometimes the Hollywood and the day ones out here, sometimes it mess for me. Sometimes it's like, all right, we all pulling up here. I know this spot, we can all go. But it is also, some people out here, they're just not even in that world. Like, not at all. They're just doing their thing, day to day, 9 to 5, whatever it may be. And you can appreciate that as well. So I think it's good to see both.
Yeah. I would say for me, there definitely is, like, it is a balancing act because I have friends from home and I have my family here. And then I have, like, new friends that I've made, you know, industry friends, adult friends, and we don't do the same things. Like, it's not the same. They don't have the same interests, right? And so sometimes I do have to choose, like, am I going to this or am I doing that? But ultimately, I know when it's time to reel it in. Like, I know when it's like, okay, I need to go to my parents' house. Or, like, this week I'm staying in, I'm just going to hang out with my mom. Or sometimes, like, we'll just hang out, like, at the house and chill. So there's definitely a balancing act because you can get a little lost in the sauce. There's so much happening on an everyday basis, like Monday through Sunday. Yeah. And so, and you have access, right? Like, you have access to all these things, so you can get into a bunch of stuff. But I find myself having to reel it in sometimes. Or my body will tell me, like, you know, you just have to sit down.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I love both. I love both. I'm not gonna lie, I love both. I used to be like, no, only family, like I only hang out with my family and stuff. But it's like, that's not, no disrespect to my family, but like that's not getting me anywhere. You know, they're gonna love me for me regardless. And so when it comes to like career and advancing and opportunities, like I had to get out of that like no new friends mindset and really like explore and be engaging and show up to places that I don't, you know, are not familiar to me.
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned that because we talk all the time about how relationships are everything.
Yes.
Like they're super, super, super important. And it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, networking is so important, but like really having genuine relationships with people that you can call for stuff and they can call you for things. Like there's this mutual two-way street of like giving, receiving, etc. Talk to us about just how important relationships have been for you in your career within PR, entertainment, and your entrepreneur endeavors as well.
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. I want to say almost every job I've gotten in life has been just based on relationship, except one is just like a recruiter found me on LinkedIn. But every other like job or opportunity I've had has come from relationships, from internships to jobs. Even like being on Sweet Life is just like who I've known and like who I've developed a good rapport for me. I also am like a PR professional, so I understand the power of relationships as well. But it's really fueled me. Like I'm nothing without the people that I know and like my network, truly, like seriously. Right. And so I recognize that, and so what I do is like I try to show and prove like to like my younger cousins and like, you know, the girls below me. I try to show them, like I try to build relationships with them so that they can see this is the way you build a relationship. Like, right? Like I can call on you for this, you can call me and ask me, do I know this person, connecting people, etc. And so it's driven my, you know, who I am. And so I just try to make sure that I'm like instilling the same thing in like the girls below me and the guys too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. What about you?
Everything you said. I think it's also important to foster good, genuine relationships. In LA, you can get to know everybody. You can, I know her, I know him, but like, how do they feel about you? When you walk in a room, what do they say? When you're not in that room, what do they say? So it's the relationships, but again, fostering good, positive relationships.
Yeah, I like genuine. That's a good word.
Yeah.
Genuine ones for sure.
So I guess like, I mean, I see LA as like, it's just so many sharks out here. Everybody's just, like you said, like everybody's just trying to get where they're trying to go, and to whatever it might take, like they'll really like backstab some people. So how do y'all, like, what's some advice you would give for like people who are trying to network in like, such a large, like shark infested city?
It would be the advice that I just remind myself is to like run my own race, right? Like you are running your own race. Your goals and dreams are like different from the next person's, and while you know, they may cross paths at whatever point, like your end goal is completely different, you know? And ultimately, like what God has for you is for you. So I would say run your race. And for me, that comes into practice where it's like, okay, let's just say this is like a big networking event. There's like 50 people in here. I'm just like, I need to talk to 2 people in here that I know, right? Like figure out who's there. I need to talk to 2 people. Whoever else is just extra, right? So like I go into spaces like, I'm here to talk to you in particular, right? So find your way, make that connection, exchange information, and whatever else happens. At least that's how I navigate it, because I can be a little like shy, I can be a little awkward sometimes too. So if I don't go in to spaces with intention, I'll just stand in the corner or just drink. You know, just be drinking the whole time and not talk to nobody. So I really have to like remind myself, like, this is why we're here to talk to this person. Now, the next person, like, for example, my boyfriend is super outgoing. He knows how to work rooms. He knows how to talk to everyone. I'd be like, damn, like, I need to be talking to these people, or, like, I need to be doing this. But I remind myself that, like, again, it's our own race, right? Like, he's his own person. I'm my own person. And it doesn't always work like that for me. Like, you know, so I just am always reminding myself of that point and, like, being really intentional about what I'm doing. When I see people, like, getting opportunities or, like, you know, doing things that I want to do, typically I use it as like a connection, right? So like I remember this person did that, so when I come back to it, I can like reach out to them. That's how I typically see it. And if not, it's just like my time will come, you know? Like there are things that I've done that they haven't done too. So it's just a reminding yourself of that though, because again, it's easy to get lost. Like it's easy to go to a million events and try to talk to a million people, and like, that just doesn't build any genuine relationships.
That's great advice.
Yeah. What would you say?
I would say, to your point, like, it's going to always be competition. It's going to always be somebody that want to do what you do, maybe do it better, but they don't do you. Like, you got to be you, and then whatever you put out there, I'm a little religious. You got to think that God is just going to give it to you. Like, he's not. This is nobody else's mission, similar to what she said, but it's mine. And then to that point of, like, feeling like sharks are out there, not how do you turn into a shark, but like if you know that, you got to be grinding now. You know that everybody's trying to get their thing, so you can't kind of shy away from it. Like you gotta, LA is one of those cities, you gotta go for it. Like, and whatever that looks like, that doesn't mean you gotta go in every room and, hi, I'm Ty, but you gotta make yourself available and avail yourself for people to know this is what I do, this is what I want to do, work with me, let's collaborate.
Right.
You can learn a lot from sharks, honestly.
I was going to say the same thing. You can learn a lot, and I think there's power in like knowing your opponent so that you can, like, that affects your game. Like because you know that's what you're up against. Okay, so how am I still gonna get to the bag? How am I gonna show up knowing that there are people out here who are really just like, they're not gonna fuck with me.
Exactly. They're
not gonna help me. They don't care. Okay. So what?
And then
like,
who do I know that can help me navigate that, right? Or like can help me, you know, take a right instead of a left.
Right.
You know, so but you definitely can learn a lot from sharks, honestly. You can.
Up your social presence with Real Goals, today's sponsor. Real Goals provides any creative with the tips and tricks to produce one-of-a-kind clips for IG and TikTok. Reel in your next client and reach your real goals at REELGOALS_.
I love it. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. I want to get into your PR world. Yes. So on Cloth Talk, we talk a lot about just culture and career, and really just trying to give our audience an in-depth / behind the scenes view of like what advertising and marketing is. So how would you explain the connection between PR and advertising and marketing?
Yes, I think it's a good question. And I think marketing is really like the big flashy word, right? Like that's like the overarching like title slide. And then as pieces of it are PR, it's advertising, it's like communications. Some companies have like public affairs, whatever. But ultimately it's all marketing. PR is really, to me, is more so about like public perception and how you show up in the world, where marketing, right, as in general can include like copywriting, can include like iconography, like typography, all the things. But PR specifically is really about how your consumers and the people outside of your business or firm or whatever perceive you. And to me, I might be biased, but to me it's the most important because it's the way people like think and feel about you. And a lot of our, we know this, like a lot of our purchases and needs and wants are driven by the way that we feel, and so there's a lot of psychology behind PR as well. So that would be like my way to explain it. It's not so cut and dry, you know, similar to like advertising or marketing, but essentially like how are people ingesting what you're delivering? Does it make them feel good, bad, happy, sad? And like, are you you know, pulling on whatever emotion that may be, right? So yeah, that's how I would explain it.
Got it. Okay. And what I hear you saying is that storytelling is really important in PR. So as young professionals who, you know, we're young, we're hungry, we're out here getting it, like our personal brands are very important. What can you tell us about using storytelling to our advantage?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. This is, I say that, I'm like bracing myself because I'm still working on like my personal brand. It's a lot easier to do it for like companies and like, you know, products and services, but when it comes to yourself, it's different, right? For obvious reasons. But I would say in building your personal brand, at least for me, I've thought a lot about what people know me for, who I actually am, right? What people know me for, what I want people to know me for, and right, there's a difference between what people do know you for, what you want people to know you for, and then also like how, like what you are associated with, like association words a little bit. That's how I've thought about my personal brand, and the disconnect. The way to like think about it for me is how to bridge the gap between who you want to be and what people know you for, right? Like who you are and who you want to be and like what people know you for, and it's bridging that gap, right? So for example, I do a lot of things, too many things honestly, and that's something that I'm working on. Something that I'm working on with my personal brand. And it's like people can know me, for example, let's just say like people know me for Sweet Life, or they know me for like being a businesswoman. And in reality, this is just hypothetical. In reality, I'm like this PR professional that is like super into real estate. And it's like, how do I convert people from Sweet Life to real estate, or vice versa, you know? And it's finding the right avenues and the right touch points to kind of connect the dots. So that's how I would think about PR, and that's how I thought about like my personal brand. We are in like the era of a content creator and things, and so there's obviously levels and layers to that, but that in general, that's how I'm thinking about my personal brand, and how I want to really show up in the world, and if it aligns with like who I really am. Because I think a lot of times, just with like reels and TikToks and everything, like people can be showing up online as one thing and they're like a completely different person, and I just don't want that for myself, you know. So I'm trying to find like a good balance. Yeah.
I love that. What about you, Rob? Our personal brands are kind of ever changing because we don't stay the same as individuals. So like, how do you navigate that and kind of telling your story as it changes?
I think right now, similar to what Amanda is saying, like people know me for Sweet Life. I was I started off as Amanda's boyfriend on Sweet Life, and then I was able to evolve and like they saw me as a comedian and me transitioning from education. So I think now my brand is as a storyteller, what stories do I want to tell that are meaningful, that really impact people. In LA, it's a lot of work out here. You can write a lot of places, you can do stand up a lot of places, but like for me, it's really about what's being meaningful and then the people that I'm going to touch. I don't know if you guys know, but I used to be in education. I'm no longer in that, but I still want to be able to touch people every day the same way I did as a teacher. Still impact the lives of young boys and young men and women every day. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out for my brand.
Okay, I love it. I think what I heard both of y'all say is that who you all are is deeper than the roles, deeper than like the labels. And like you said, like even though you're not necessarily in education, you still want to be an educator in the way of like having influence and probably teaching, impacting lives. So I think that's dope.
Sure. Can you guys share a little bit about like what are some ways that you all kind of like give back to the community?
Yes.
Well, I would say literally giving back to the community, like doing community service, going to various soup kitchens and things like that. Like that's something that we are very passionate about, and we really try to make sure we do that. And then I would say, so she mentioned like talking to younger family members and stuff like that. I've really been trying to lean into that because like they're getting into college and then making various decisions that could definitely impact their lives. So I just want to help them navigate that, not being like, I'm an old head, I know everything. But just, I made some mistakes, I had some bumps and bruises. I wouldn't want you to make those mistakes. I want to see you do everything that you would like to do. So that's, I would think for me, that's how I'm giving back. Definitely physical community service, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question and something I've been thinking about. We definitely have done some community service in the last couple months. We both went to Howard University, and like truth and service is the motto, right? So the community service piece is kind of like in our blood a little bit just from like college days, and so we are working with some organizations there. But recently I was thinking about the ways that I've like given back to in other ways, and I think when I sit back and think, like I provided a lot of like, I was pro bono like work or ideas, whatever, to like nonprofit organizations, to people who need connections, etc. And I never really thought about it as community service. I've just thought about it as like, just leveraging my network. But I think it's important to note that like there are other ways, right? Like you don't have to be wearing a hairnet and scooping, food for homeless people to be able to give back to your community. Like my cousin owns a nonprofit for developmentally disabled people, and she was looking for a way to connect her constituents with like a nonprofit organization to give back to their community, and I was able to like facilitate that connection. And like the list goes on. My cousin was looking for like digital marketers for his nonprofit, and I was able to like facilitate that connection as well. And like it's small ways, but it's a way that I'm able to like increase my network and like increase my relationship building skills, and then also it's always for a good cause. Well, not always, but it's for a good cause, And so I'm thinking of other ways that I can give back to without like physically showing up. I love physically showing up, right? It feels good. We just talk about pulling at the heartstrings, but there are other ways that we can show up. For example, I was watching the 1619 Project. Y'all should watch that if y'all haven't. And the woman on there, she profiled a guy who was like the head of comms in BLM, and like there was this whole police standoff because he was simply going live, and that is a way that he had given back, right? He wasn't necessarily always on the front lines or the main person finding funds or etc., but he was using his talent and his skills as a professional to further the needs of the organization, and so that really touched me. So I'm thinking about other ways that I can show up for people in the community.
That's actually a great segue into diving into like your business. So you have a lash line called The Collection, and now I saw like on Instagram, it's really like just a lot of pictures of just like African American women. So just talk about like how important is it for like women, like African American women specifically, to like feel beautiful, feel empowered, things of that nature.
It's so important. It's so important, and it's even more important now that I've been on camera. Like I've seen myself on the screen, and then you watch other shows and you see the way that Black women are represented, right? And so from that experience, I'm like, wow, like we looked really beautiful. If you guys haven't watched We Life, make sure you watch it. It's on HBO Max. But we looked really beautiful, and a part of that, I know that a part of that reason is because we had like a full black production crew. Like our showrunner was a black woman. Obviously, Issa Rae produced it. She's a black woman, and so we know our angles. We know our lighting. We know what we look good. I can't say for sure that we would have looked so amazing had it been for our production team, you know? And so it's really on us. Like if not us, then who?
Right.
And so we have to really like empower ourselves to look beautiful. I took it up amongst myself, obviously, to start a lash line, pushing like female empowerment and like, you know, luxury. This was before soft life was a thing. Really pushing that envelope because it's something that makes me feel good. I love seeing my friends on TV. We look beautiful. I rewatch the episodes all the time. Like we look amazing, men and women. Like we look really good on the screen, and I'm just pushing that because there are a lot of like dark, negative images of both black men especially, and women in media, and so I just wanted to show up and do my part to, you know, push confidence and empowerment and luxury for our black queens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love that. Okay, so you brought up Issa Rae. We can't let you leave without asking you about Miss Issa. Okay, so what is something that you've learned from Issa that just made you more self-aware or has positively impacted you?
Okay, that's a good question. I'm gonna take it back to Insecure days. We've all seen Insecure. The storyline between her and Molly, like if you follow that from season 1 through season 5, had so many layers and so many like peaks, valleys, you know, and everything in between. And you don't really see like black female friendship on display like that. Yes. I have a ton of friends, right? Home friends, college friends, work friends, whatever. And you never really see the real challenges of friendship like on display like that. And so watching her do crazy, stupid shit, and then watching Molly do backhanded shit had really like changed my perspective of like, you know, we do need to be better friends. Like we do need to show up for our friends in a different way. I've always thought like, oh, I'm a great friend. But you know, you watch Insecure and you're like, damn, I've definitely done that before. Like that's something I would do, or I would never do that, or I wouldn't want anybody to do that. So I would say that's first. Like Issa Rae's just storytelling had helped me to see myself in the lens of like friendship.
I love that.
And you know, and just camaraderie between two black women. So I would say that first. And then, you know, we've gotten a little closer now. Okay. We've gotten a little closer now, and I'll just say like Issa Rae's businesses are on point. Like she is so on point. She's not just a producer. She's not just a screenwriter. Like she's a real businesswoman. She has a compound in South LA. She has like 3 different locations for her coffee shop. She has a record label. Like she has so many things, and the way that they're all interconnected is what I love so much, right? Like I'm a natural storyteller. So the way that they're all connected, and she's the nucleus to all of them, and she runs them all so seamlessly, is such a huge inspiration to me. Like I know that'll be me one day, you know?
Right.
Like, and it's easy because like she's already done it. Like the blueprint is really already there, and like I have her as a resource. So I would say those are the 2 biggest things that I've taken from Issa. Love her down. Oh my
That's
God.
awesome.
I love it.
And you've had the same relationship with her as well, so let's just like listen to, you know, speak on that.
Well, so I was a film major, went to Howard for my master's in film, so like Issa was my girl. Like did my thesis, I tried to make it like Insecure and everything. So now fast forward a couple years later, to be on the Issa Rae show is definitely life-changing, wonderful, amazing. I posted it, she reposted it, it was awesome. But from her, just like when she says like she's rooting for everybody black, I know it's very cliche, but like she really is. And she's gonna tell you, and she's gonna, like in the short interactions that I've had with her, she's like, hey, how you doing? It's like, it's just attainable. It's not this far off figure that I've seen on TV. Nah, she's right there in the room. And it's not, when she's in the room, it's like she's a homegirl. She's right there. Oh, let's grab a drink. Oh, let's have a good time. Hey, what's up? Like, so that's what I just appreciate, how personable she is, and how with that's inspiring. Because if I want to be as far as she is in the entertainment industry, for me to still be attainable to people, for people to still feel like they can come up and touch me and say, what's up, that's cool.
Right.
She always says, like, when we go to events, she always says, thank you so much for coming. I'd be like, girl, what?
Thank you for
I wouldn't miss it.
Girl. But yes, agree. And she's so personable. And so, she really is like Issa, the character. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
I love that.
Wow.
And her skin is
Yeah.
stellar.
Like, everything's really top tier, for real. She's amazing.
I believe
Amazing
it.
woman.
Issa, if you're watching, we'd love to have you on Crop Talk.
Yeah.
Let's put that into the universe. All right, cool. So as we wrap up, most of our audience consists of young people our age who are in creative spaces. What is a piece of advice you'd give to your younger self that you think would really resonate?
Okay, I have to think.
Okay,
Younger
Rob, you're
self.
first.
Do it. Just do it. Like, a lot of the things that I've been fortunate enough to do, not like I feel like I'm the shit or everything, but like I could have done it before if I would have just done it. So just taking that leap of faith and believe in you, because I know a lot of people focus on the haters and the doubters, but it'd be a lot of people rooting for you that actually want you to succeed. So go for it. Try it out.
Yeah.
love
That's
that.
good. I
That's
like
a great
that too.
one.
Definitely leaps of faith are important. I wish I learned that earlier in life, but it's cool. We're here now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my advice is probably gonna be a little cliche, but like so background. I was like one of those girls that was like overachiever, like need to get good grades, like need everything to be, and it's just like none of that shit matters. Like no one really cares about your 4.0. You should get it if you like, if that's something that you want to do, like you should work hard to achieve. But ultimately, like people care about you being a good person. People care about what value you can provide. People care about like how you make them feel. Like those are the things that are really most valuable once you get out into the world and like as an adult. All the other things and the accolades and all those things, like they're great, and if that's what you strive for, like of course you should do that, but just focus on like being a good person and focus on doing what it is that you really want to do, not what's gonna like make you money or get a bag or get a man. Like focus on what really is what being a good person, and then what you really want to do. Like don't listen to the outside noise. Listen, you and Jesus. That's all you got.
Stay true.
For real.
Take chances.
Yes.
And don't get caught up on no man. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. All right. So really quickly before we go, it was so amazing talking to y'all.
Thank you guys.
As a fellow HBCU alum,
Yes.
I went to Spelman and
Okay.
period.
Okay, 1 and 2,
Right, yeah, top 2. I love hearing about how both of y'all's experiences at Howard have really shaped you in a way that goes beyond what your experience was in the classroom.
Yes.
And
100%.
I feel that my experience at Spelman has touched me the same way. And so to the people at home, I don't know if any of y'all are college students or looking to get into college, but if you're Black watching this, please, please, please consider applying to an HBCU.
Yes.
They have been so important and continue to be so important for our community, and it really just goes beyond. It's so much more than academics.
Yeah.
And we could have a whole other episode about that, but I think it's really dope to have 2 HBCU alum with us who are killing it in LA, blazing their own paths and just killing it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having us.
Absolutely.
This is great.
And with that, that's episode 3. Amanda, Rob, thank you again.
Thank y'all
You guys
so
have been
much.
fantastic. We'll catch y'all in episode 4.
Bye.